This is the Bentley Bentayga, one of the world's most premium cars, with the worst stereo, name or not. I know, it's cliche, someone who does car audio and hi-fi telling you how bad a car sounds from standard. It's just the truth. Anybody with a set of ears can hear how bad these cars sound from stock, but not anymore. This one's come through and it's had our stage 1. So we've got various stages for the Bentayga. You know how far we can go by now. This is a relatively simple installation compared to that. That said, it's still a substantial system. DSP amplifier, so we've got 12 channels in there and 2 DSP output channels, one of which we're using for an aftermarket subwoofer, which is the Audison AP8, small subwoofer. Massive car, but we don't want anything on display, so we've had to pop that subwoofer in the boot. That's an interruption fit between the spare wheel and the rear bulkhead of the car, so when you're undoing the wheel, the subwoofer will come out as well. It's all kind of designed to work like that. We're using Audison's new Forza AF M12.14, so there's a 12 channel amplifier with 2 DSP output channels. And in this car, unlike most, we're running every single speaker. I didn't want to lose a speaker at all. So the OEM amplifier has been removed. We've retained all the functionality. We're speaking digitally to the amplifier from the car, and we're running all of the speakers. And then our sort of tuning in-house has set up how we want it to sound. So we're quite forward heavy. We've got Phil in the back, not Phil the person. Yeah, so we're playing everything. We've got the center in there, which is summed from left and right. So yeah, it's all working really well. This is it's a massive upgrade. To be fair, you could just turn the radio off and sing in there, and you'd have a better response in terms of sound. So it wasn't the trickiest of jobs to make it sound better, but a relatively difficult job to integrate the car. It is a Bentley, you know, they're tricky to get apart. For instance, the front tweeters, we've left them in. You know, we discussed it with the client, and we've left them in. You've got to get the windscreen out to change the tweeters in a Bentley Bentayga. The only other option is to do an A-pillar mount, which we've done in Bentaygas before, as subtly as we can, but it's still not OEM. So most cars like this, we retain a completely factory aesthetic. So what we've got the we've discussed the DSP amplifier. I'll show you that in a second. We've got the 8-inch active subwoofer, which is running from that DSP amplifier, so that's controlled as well. We've got Hertz Melee Legend mid-bass in all the doors, all round. We've got the Melee Legend tweeters in the rear, and then we've got the OEM tweeters in the front, which we're really leaning on. I mean, they're far, far better now, as is any other OEM speaker. If you get it on a decent amplifier with decent DSP, decent setup, then, you know, it's going to be far better than it was from stock. So that is the best compromise that we can come up with. You know, we don't want a pillar in there. We don't want to not replace the tweeters, or we at least don't want to not change the way they sound. So we've attached them to the new system, our system that's in there, which gives us full control of them. Like I say, a fairly simple system, just in a slightly trickier car. Not much need for a load of sound deadening in this. It's not an SQ car, it's not a competition car. You know, it's an extremely well-built car from stock. It's got enclosures in all 4 doors, which is just great. Every car should have enclosures, but every car doesn't have doors the size of my front door on my house, you know. Let's have a quick look around. There's only really the boot to see. I'll show you the interior anyway, because it's lovely. All right. Oh, and also, it's wet, because I just turned it around. You'll notice from the thumbnail it was pointing the other way, and it is pouring down outside. Good old England. So, Melee Legends in there, in enclosures. The enclosures are fully sound deadened. They don't come sound deadened, they're just plastic and they ring like a bell. So they've been treated, but the doors have been left stock. OEM tweeters. So the OEM tweeters are in these grills at the top here. Now you can strip the dash out and you can get to them from underneath, but it does require bending and buckling and folding of hands and silly tools. in this pocket, you can probably just see, it's dark in there. We've put the bass controller. You can't really see it, but you'll have to believe me. There's a bass controller here to turn this subwoofer up and down. So that controls the active sub box in the back. What you done? Oh, there it goes. Right, so nothing in here at all. Everything under here. So we've got the Audison AF M12.14 14 channel amplifier on this mount here. We've got our fuse in just at the back there, just in case. And then our subwoofer is in this corner here. And that's it. All gone. In an ideal world, everything would be straight, all logos would line up, but we don't live in an ideal world. All the functionality of the car is exactly the same, so it'll drive out the way it drove in. It will just sound much, much better with, you know, just some nice higher end pieces of kit. But the key in these cars is that integration. It is getting DSP on the OEM system, and it is removing all of the pre-equalization from the factory radio. The factory radio in these, on every single source, has about 10 points of sound adjustability, and I mean 10 different sort of stages. So EQ presets, volume presets, you know, fade and balance presets for every single source. But it has the craziest ANC as well, the craziest active noise cancellation in there that just echoes around the car. I turned it off halfway because we collect and redeliver some cars. I turned it off halfway back because I thought, I'm going to listen to this and I'm going to see what it sounds like, just to give me a good reference for when we've completed it and we know sort of how well we've done, basically. And I had to turn it off because it was just so phasey and weird. It was like being sat inside a sphere with all these reflections and bouncing noises, and you could tell that the car was trying really hard to cancel out road noise with the stereo. Now the integration parts that we fitted get rid of all of the ANC, any sort of pre-equalization on the radio, so that's all gone. So we've got as linear an output as we can have, and that just gives us a nice day when it comes to sort of setting up and tuning, you know. Anyway, Bentaygas, Bentleys, anything that you've got that you feel should sound better than it does, which will be most, just give us a shout, alright? Just takes the right mindset. Take it easy guys, I'm Carl, and this is the Bentley Bentayga.